Hi, I'm very excited about this week's topic. It's a matter of winning or losing here. It's vitally important, so watch the video and at the end I'll throw in a little bit of extra information for you. Now, before explaining this topic, let me take a few seconds and explain some geographical background you need to know to understand this. It's very simple and won't take long.
Right, now pay attention 007.
The map of Israel has 4 regions. Each of these regions run from north to south. The first region is in the very east. Now the east, or the Orient, we always start there, that's why we get the word orientation from. This region is called the Jordan Valley or the Rift Valley. Then the next region toward the west is the mountain range of Israel. This is where we find so many of the well-known biblical cities like Beersheba, Hebron, Bethlehem, Jerusalem, Bethel, and Shechem. To the very west are the coastal plains. This is where the ungodly people settled. For instance, the Philistines were there. But in between the coastal plains and the mountain range, there's an area called the Shephelah, meaning low, humble hills. The one who controlled the Shephelah controlled the land. The battle is always in the Shephelah. In this short video, let's see what this all means to us.
Good. Right, let's get on to more practical matters.
We all have Shephelahs in our lives. These are where we as believers will interact with the world. With students, it's their classroom. It might be our jobs, where we shop, what kind of movies we watch, or what kind of music we listen to. It's where the Christian culture intersects with the world. Now, there are several ways to deal with the Shephelahs in our lives. We can become like Samson. He grew up in the Shephelah. He compromised. He was a Nazirite, but failed in all of the requirements of being a Nazirite. He went to Timnah, towards the coastal plain, and hooked up with a Philistine woman. These Philistine women actually ended up being his downfall. He fought the Philistines, but out of rage. There was not a deep fear of the Lord in his life. It was all about him, and it ended up costing his life. May we not be like him in interacting with our culture. Then there is another approach. Let the Philistines take the land. Let them take the Shephelah. We will stay on the mountaintop and not try to influence the culture. We see this approach in many churches. They stay away from the lost. They encourage believers to just be with them, sit down and listen to a message. They want to be totally separate. In their zeal for holiness, they don't want to be anywhere close to unbelievers. The Bible teaches, though, that we are in the world, but we are not of the world. Now, holiness is very important in our lives. As you know, for the Jewish people, a pig was the most worthless, dirty, unclean animal that one can imagine. Well, if you look through the archaeology of the Shephelah and compare it to the various kings, you can find a different number of pig bones in the Shephelah for each time period. For instance, during the time of Hezekiah, there were no pig bones in the Shephelah. How many pig bones are in your life? Do you let pigs take over the culture? Are you committed to holiness? Don't allow the pig bones in your lives. The next approach is the one I like. It's what David did. He went to the Shephelah where his brothers were fighting the Philistines. A big giant Philistine named Goliath came out and said that if someone could fight him, the winner would take the entire battle. In other words, the winner took all. This means that if a Hebrew lost the battle, the entire nation of Israel would be slaves to the Philistines, and vice versa. The message again, he who controls the Shephelah controls all. Everyone was so scared, but David's answer was, who is this uncircumcised Philistine who taunts the armies of the living God? He went on the attack at the Shephelah, and he took the Shephelah. The Philistines were driven back. He was on the offensive. Will you take the culture? Peter took to Shephelah too. He went to Lydda, and everyone trusted Christ as Savior. Not only in Lydda, but also in the coastal plain, the area Sharon. Now, I would like to know, where is your Shephelah? Where do you interact with the lost, with the people of this world? Please comment below. I look forward to reading your comments. So, will we influence people in our Shephelah, or will they influence us, like Samson was influenced by the Philistines? Or will we be like David and Peter and take the land? If you share the gospel where the unbelievers are, many will get saved. Take the gospel to your Shephelah and start conquering through Christ. I had the blessing of growing up sharing the gospel in ships from over 80 countries. Then I went to a real good Bible college named Florida Bible College, where they emphasized sharing the gospel with everybody. Then I worked with some really good churches where we had as vision to reach many nations with the gospel. This all put into my spiritual DNA to share the gospel regularly with everyone I come in contact with. Some of us are very faithful with this. We share all over the place. Others share very little. May I encourage every believer to be faithful with this. We trusted Christ for our salvation, and he proved faithful, and you will know when you go to heaven that he was faithful, but he entrusted us with the gospel. Will we prove faithful? Now, here's the extra thing that I wanted to throw out. If you ever went to Israel, you probably went to Lydda. It's just a few miles south of the Ben Gurion airport, and it's now called Lod. The Ben Gurion airport, by the way, used to be called the Lydda airport. Now, to me, it's interesting that Israel still interfaces with the world in the Shephelah, and the coastal plain in Israel is the most worldly. May we win the fight in our Shephelahs. He is worthy, even if it costs our lives. Now, tune in next week to learn more. But in the meantime, STLB. Now you probably wonder, what does that mean? It means smash the like button. See you next week. God bless you.